Normally we just start the live stream and it starts, but today's episode, there was like a message from YouTube, which I'm sure was important that I just skirted past, but hey, we're here. Welcome to today's live stream, and hello to those of you in Duncan, BC, and all over the place. So I see some people have got their stuff from the last auction we had, which is good to hear.
Oh, good.
I always like to hear this getting cleared out and stuff's going where it needs to go. It's funny. I put the title of today's video is like Alex is embracing his flightiness. It's funny because I am not. I'll admit it. And she'll admit it probably, but I'm not a normal person.
I don't think many people are normal people.
Well, nobody's normal.
Because there's no such thing as normal.
No, but I mean, I don't like to follow a normal like career path. I don't like to live inside of a box. I like to live outside a box.
You'd be cold.
An anthropomorphic study of an oblong something or other. Anyway, that's where my brain is usually, not in places that are not inside of a box. But somebody said, because I had put the episode up that we sold our store, and if you missed that episode and you're just catching this now live, Melissa and I have sold the building that used to house our store, and the main reason for that is that, well, frankly, we just weren't using it anymore.
And we accomplished our goals in that building anyways.
We did. We certainly, well put. We accomplished the goals that we had for that building. The ice cream shop is there. There's going to be a restaurant, and now somebody else can take it the next step of the way. For us, being landlords wasn't really in the cards. That wasn't something that I wanted to do. Although it was income coming in, a lot of people were saying, well, I can't believe you pass up that guaranteed income every month, but you're not taking into account things like property tax,
yeah,
insurance, building. Ooh, excuse me, I got the hiccups.
Things that come up with the tenants that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, so anyway, there are expenses to owning a property and keeping it up. And so we decided like the smartest, the best thing that we could do. Oh, is our fireplace gonna blow up? It's making noises.
It's cold outside, so when the fire is heating it up,
it expands a little bit.
Stuff happens. It sounds like it's blowing up.
Anywho, I put a lot of thought into what to do with that building because although I was attached to it and there was some money coming in, it was also a really big expense every year. Property tax was around $10,000 a year, and then you've got, so basically like the money you got coming in from rent kind of gets dwindled down a bit.
Until there's
not much left. And honestly, we just thought, well, maybe we could do some other things and look for other projects and ways to keep our channel diverse and keep our interest going. And plus, I'm a firm believer of kind of having our home base, which is our house here, and keeping expenses as low as possible. So anyway, there we go.
A lot of people were saying that we should build a big shed out back so that Alexander can sort, but we try to make sure that we don't have stock or stuff that's going to the auction at our home, because our home and business has to stay separate, because number one, safety wise, me and the kids and Alexander, I'm sure, would not like to have our stock at the house.
No, I mean, that said, we are building a building in the back for sorting.
Yeah.
But, Jim Jackson says howdy. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I'm building a building in the back. This is going to act as a couple things. One, it's going to be an extra space where we could maybe work out of, have a little bit of office space, maybe have company stay, but also an area where I can sort and organize. But we're not, to Melissa's point, we don't keep stuff around the house. When you see something in a video, basically, I might bring it here that day, sort it, and it goes immediately back to the auction house.
Yeah.
But I do need a space where I can sort, so we're gonna look at that. But yeah, I don't wanna have a warehouse full of stuff. That actually would give me anxiety thinking about all that product sitting around. And that was one of the reasons for closing the store too, is that I didn't want to be sitting on that much inventory all the time. I can't tell you how much of a relief it is just to get something, auction it off, and it's gone and done, and I can move on to the next thing. It's very clean, it's very neat, and the overhead is quite low. But anyway, back to my original point is that somebody in the comment section said, I used to enjoy Alex's channel, but he's just very flighty and he needs to pick a direction and go with it. And at first I felt defensive because I started thinking, well, I did have a direction, I wanted an antique store and that happened and we're still buying and selling stuff. And then I thought, well, that's a very kind of old-fashioned way of thinking. That is very traditional, that going on a certain path and sticking with it for the rest of your life is something that probably our parents would have done. You know, you pick that career path, and our generation kind of is at the cusp of that. But I know when I first started working, in retail, that they would look at resumes and see how long did you work for somebody for. That would give you an idea of their commitment level to a company, and it was seen as a positive if somebody had been somewhere for 15 or 20 years. Now I would say that it's pretty normal for somebody to have worked somewhere for 3 to 5 years and then moved in a different direction. So if their career hasn't advanced in that time in 3 to 5 years, or they haven't found that it's satisfying and they move on, it's not really seen as a detriment on a resume anymore. In fact, I think it's almost anticipated that when you have young folks applying, you're going to have a little bit of different experiences on your resume.
I think it depends. Like if you had somebody that was like all over the place and just not loyal to a company, but I think a lot of times somebody might be in a job but also have side gigs, like things that they're doing as
Right,
well.
side hustles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's more common now for people to do multiple things.
Yeah.
And so what's perceived as flightiness for me, I want to be very crystal clear that I am very focused on my family. I'm very focused on basically making sure that our future and our kids' future are set up. That hasn't changed at all. When it comes to how I achieve that goal, that's changed a lot over the years, from working for different companies and gaining experiences, and then eventually having a store. And so we do a lot of different things, and I've followed many different paths to get to where we are, because that common goal all along the way has been, maybe an acreage or a nice house and our family set up, and basically making sure that the kids can go to university. All that has been the goal all along the way. And I think that however you get there, it might appear flighty to somebody else, but that's your path. And if I hadn't have been quote unquote flighty, I wouldn't have had so many wonderful experiences along the way, or met so many different people and really diverse experiences that have come from it.
I think for us personally, we also wouldn't be as far as we are ahead.
Well, I take risks that a lot of people might be nervous
But
to
if we
take.
were just going to the same job every day, collecting the same paycheck day in and day out,
Oh, 100%.
we wouldn't have been able to be, I mean, maybe eventually, but
I will be honest with you guys that I've said this before on other chats, and I had a very good paying job, a good paying job that a lot of friends that I worked with are still in that exact job. But if I would have stayed in that job, albeit a good job, and been slightly dissatisfied that I wasn't going anywhere, or that I hit the ceiling. And for me, it was that I was on this upward trajectory my whole career, and then I got this job as a senior manager, and I felt like I hit the roof, and that was it, and that's all it was going to be. And so I don't know, I wanted to feel more growth and do different things, and those experiences weren't really coming to me. And if I would have stayed there, I'd still be doing the same exact thing. We'd still probably have a decade and a half left of paying off our last house, and I wouldn't have been involved in all these extra experiences. So
yeah, that's true. And all the people that we met and were able to help.
I will say this, and I know that some of you out there are entrepreneurs, and some of you are maybe thinking about doing social media or other things. The truth of it is, we never did YouTube to make money from it. That was never the intention. The intention of YouTube was actually just to drive footsteps through our store when we first started. And what I learned, and what I think when you see a lot of people who have gotten out of that routine and gotten out of the norms and stepped outside of working for somebody else and then being your own boss and setting your own hours and doing your own things, is that the possibilities really are limitless. It occurred to me very early on that the money I'd been trying to save up for all those years, and it took decades to get our last house paid down as much as we did, is that there was money floating around out there that I just had to be slightly more creative to grab, in terms of advertising revenue and things like that I didn't even know existed, that really just changed things up. And what's even more remarkable about that is that it's not like I was hired by a company to speak on this channel. It's that I just got bored and started doing videos, and really anybody out there who's watching could do the exact same things that we did. and I don't know if it's going to last forever. And so we kind of plan for the fact that YouTube could come and go. We don't know. Which is why I'm not going out and trying to do too many stupid things.
Yeah.
But we are investing, in our property and making things better. So if that day comes, I always have in the back of my head that when this comes to an end and I have to go back and get a normal job again, and a part of me is preparing. This is the silly thing. I'm preparing for when I have to go back and get a normal job. And I think, okay, I'll have a resume that's more diverse, and I'll have a resume that's shown that I've been busy and I've been doing things and I've been productive the last, almost 7 years or so since I had a normal job. But if it doesn't come to that, then I'll keep riding things out as long as I can.
I can't imagine you in a normal job. I think that you'll always end up being an entrepreneur if YouTube ends one day.
Oh yeah, I had an idea the other day.
You'll have your own thing.
I was thinking, I get random thoughts. I get very random thoughts in my head, and I was talking to the kids. I'm like, you know what we should do? We should have a food truck, and all we do is we go around and make gourmet hot chocolate, like every kind of fancy topping and thing you can imagine. That's all we do is the hot chocolate thing in winter. And the kids are like, I think there's people selling hot chocolate. Not the way we do it. We'd have you want frosted this or coconut that or marshmallows and peppermint or whatever. Part of me is thinking I could be like the Willy Wonka of hot chocolate trucks. And don't ask me why. My entire life, I've just gone through life thinking about crazy things. And I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but my mind wanders in directions that maybe it should or shouldn't. But we've been able to accomplish a lot. Having the store was a far out goal at one point, right? And Melissa encouraged me to do that because she saw, I think, how sad I was at work. And it wasn't the, I was sad at work, actually depressed at work. And you might say, oh, Alex, poor you had a normal job. It's not like that. I worked in the film industry for a number of years, and you're always working on something different. You're in different places, and you're used to kind of not letting, don't let the grass grow under your feet, kind of. You're used to just moving around and doing different things. And so when I was a district manager for retail, I managed multiple stores. And when I did that, I'd worked my way up, and I was really driven to have the best performing stores and, the best performing managers. And I wanted to be a talent pool for other districts. In the sense that the managers I had working in my stores could be pulled and used in other areas. And I really enjoyed the talent development. I enjoyed, most of all, when I was doing that, seeing people grow in their roles and also having the opportunity to move people up and move them into different positions. When you have 26 stores under your belt, you know that there's a potential to move people around as there's natural attrition. And I really enjoyed that. The reason why I was kind of sad when I went back to that role is that I went from sort of, wearing the suit and tie and driving around and being the head office guy and helping to develop talent and feeling like I was really there and getting to know the people, to being in a position where I was essentially just wearing a blue t-shirt, standing in a mall and making sure people took their breaks on time. And I felt like I was being, I guess, underutilized. I wouldn't say underutilized. I would say that what they needed from me wasn't what I needed from them. And I think that a lot of people can get into that role where you're in a job where the pay is good and people are like, well, you'd be crazy to leave it. But for me, I just wasn't feeling inspired, and I wasn't feeling like I was inspiring others. And I know I've kind of joked about it before, but I had moments near the end of my career where I would have staff come in and they'd be like, I'm not really feeling this job, and I kind of want to go out and be like, a performance artist, or I want to maybe go back to school and study design or something. And as a manager there, I was supposed to say like, well, let's talk you through how you can, develop your skills where you are and become a better employee and stuff. But I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. You should really go do that. Because I didn't want to just give them advice that the store wanted me to give. I wanted to give them actual life advice and make them pursue the things that filled them with passion and filled them with the loves that they wanted to see in their world. And I don't regret that, but I knew that I probably wasn't the right fit for that role. And I'm sure that my previous employer, although I never had a bad performance review, they'd probably say, yeah, you seem like your heart wasn't really in it. I do miss that. There's definitely parts where I miss being around people. I miss inspiring people. And just really being there to try and give great advice so people can follow their dreams and their passions. And I guess in a sense, we try and do that a bit on the channel. Um, so when and if, or if and when that day comes where I have to go back to some sort of job where I'm working for somebody else, I really hope that I find something where I can be around people and help inspire and drive people to be their best and enjoy their work. And I think that's part of the reason why I went back to school as an adult and I took human resource management in university, because I wanted to know better how to support the people that worked with me. But what I'm saying in a long roundabout way is that if I seem as though I'm flighty, it's not that I'm flighty. It's that inspiration and challenges come to us in very different times and very different ways in our life. And I really love to go into things with my whole heart. When we wanted to have the business, I wanted to make sure it was the best business I could. I wanted to provide a great experience. And we had a 5-star rating on Google when we had our store. That's pretty good for being in business for 6 or 7 years. We had a great business. But I wanted to also make sure that I was here for the family and that I was not traveling so much and that I was home and that I could be here. And so I've been following sort of these paths that have led me to where I am right now. And
I don't know if flighty is such an insult. Like, I know it was probably meant as an insult.
It was meant as an insult.
But the thing is that in reality, you think on your feet. You don't get stuck in one spot. When there's a problem, you're able to go in many different directions. And if that means flighty, then I think a lot more of us need to be flighty.
I think when I look back at the experiences I had, like working in film, and we'd have those days where the director would say, I need you to close down traffic on this highway and make sure I don't have any planes coming overhead. And then I'd be the guy that'd have to figure that out. There was never a, that sounds hard, or I don't think I can do that. It was always, I'm going to figure this out.
It was the most ridiculous problems I've ever heard in my life, and you just dealt with it.
Yep.
Like, not stuff that any normal human would ever have to deal with, ever. And it wasn't that it was impossible. It was just expected for you to do it.
Yeah, they needed silence on the set and everything. But anyway, those experiences like redirecting air traffic or shutting down major highways or hiring police officers, pay duty officers to help out, those are all experiences that I think led me to want to think quick on my feet. And I'm really good in reactive kind of situations. So if there's a problem in front of us, I've got the hiccups again. If there's a problem in front of us, I really like to think about how it can be resolved. And I never like to take no for an answer. That's the one thing that really, that's what grinds, what grinds my gears? I'll turn into Peter Griffin. What really grinds my gears? But when you have somebody, there's a couple things that I never want to fall into, and they're traps that people can fall into really quickly. One is blaming other people for your problems and not trying to be proactive to find a solution to overcome it.
because you've lost all control. As soon as it's somebody else's fault, you have no control over that.
If you're waiting on somebody, if somebody else isn't performing and they're not resolving an issue for you, there's a way around it. There's somebody else you can talk to. There's another path you can take. There's a way to overcome that situation. And the other thing is when people let their obstacles be their story, and that prevents them from living their life.
It's very easy to go down that path too.
It's very easy to go down that path.
To pull yourself out of that whole, if you want to do something, if you want something to happen differently for you, you need to do something different.
Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. They said, where's my wine? It's right here.
No, where's Melissa's wine?
Oh, she has water.
I took a San Pellegrino.
But
I have it sitting next to me.
There are people you will come across in your life, and a lot of challenges that people have are very psychological. They get themselves psyched out about something where something bad may have happened, but that becomes their story. I would say, excuse me, if I were to go in and speak to a psychologist, I would likely get some sort of ADHD diagnosis because I know that I'm flighty. I know that I'm a bit scatterbrained, or I lose focus on things and I like to chase the next thing. They'd probably say that I have a bit of attention deficit disorder, but I don't see that as being a detriment. I think it's something that you can use to your strength, that allows you to think differently, allows you to see different perspectives that maybe other people don't see. But there are people that you might run across that have the same diagnosis and say, there are things that I cannot accomplish or cannot do because of this diagnosis or because of this. And I always think, what are you still capable of doing? You're still that is giving you the ability to think differently. That's giving you the ability to focus and energize in different areas. And I think that a lot of people focus on the things that they can't do rather than the 99% of the things they're still capable of. And I'm sure I've said it on a live stream before, but I remember we had a store years ago called Axle Toys. It was at West Edmonton Mall. We sold die cast, and we sold trains and mechano sets and all sorts of things. Anyway, it was a great little shop. And we had a regular customer come in, used to come in all the time. And he was quadriplegic. He was in a wheelchair, and he could talk still, but he could only move his neck, and he had to steer his wheelchair with the little remote up by his shoulder. And we got talking one day, and he told me that he had I want to say like about a 68 Mustang, and he was driving, and he got into a really bad accident. And at the time he got into the accident, it paralyzed him. But instead of focusing on the challenges, and he could have gone on disability. If anybody deserved to go on disability, it would be this gentleman who could only move his neck and talk and move with a remote control on his shoulder. But what he did is he stayed with his job. He worked full time at a construction company. And instead of working on the machines themselves, he moved into the office and he did clerical and data entry, and he was able to do it all from his shoulder with his mouth. And that man worked 40 hours a week, and he was the happiest guy I'd ever seen. And truly inspiring, truly an inspiring man. And that was a guy who focused not on the 90% of the things he couldn't do, but on the 10% of the things he still could do. And he contributed so much. And I think of that every time when I feel as though things seem like they can't be done, or there's tasks that just seem so challenging that it seems like there's never going to be an end to it. I think that there's people out there that are staying positive, and there's people out there that are focusing on all the great and wonderful things they're still capable of doing and how they can contribute. And I'm grateful for the health that I have and what skills that I have. I think that no matter what happens, there's got to still be some way to push forward. So I don't know, boy, I hope that people out there watching focus really on the things that you're capable of doing, focus on keeping positive, and really keeping yourself inspired to move forward no matter what your situation is. And back to the work thing, to Melissa's point, if I had stayed in that job, I would have been monumentally depressed. Maybe I would have overcome it and I would have just become complacent. I got to the point, I guess, where I was depressed, and I'm like, there's got to be more than life to this. And I had that come to hither moment with the area manager, and I said, I used a baseball analogy, and I said, I feel like I'm swinging and a miss, or I'm swinging and getting a foul ball. Like, I know it's like every time, and I played baseball for many years, and every time you step up to the bat, you know that you are capable of hitting a home run. You've hit them before, you have the bat, you have the talent, you have the skill, you're capable of hitting a home run, but you don't always do it. But I just felt like I was just not connecting in that role. And I felt like I wasn't hitting home runs, and I knew it was time for me to move on. And I'm not saying that we're hitting home runs now, but when I look back, this is one of those things, I kind of look back through our video library, and I was looking at all the things that we've done over the last 5 or 6 years. And it's almost like a remarkable amount of stuff has happened in our lives in the last.
And that's just what we filmed.
And that's just what we filmed. Yeah. I just think about it all the time that, I don't regret, I guess, trying something different and trying something new. And I think that, and Bob, the bottle man, says, Alex, you never strike out. But that's not true. I've struck out lots. When we started our store, I was very worried about going into bankruptcy. We had taken out a pretty big loan against our house to open the store for stock, and I had barely enough to fill the shelves. And Melissa's dad, Dave, was very worried. He said, I don't think you've got enough stock to open the store. But then you sell one thing, you buy two more. You sell two things, you buy four more. And everything has really progressed from that.
There was a point where we actually had to sit and decide if we needed to declare bankruptcy, or if we could just squidge a little more and get a little bit more. And then finally it started doing that, where I mean, everybody gets in those tight spots where you're like, all right, which bill are we paying half of this month?
Yeah.
But we made it work. Like, we made it work. And generally, I think we made good decisions in the end. Like,
I think so. I mean, you know,
it's a learning curve, and you have to strike out in order to learn. So there's the mistakes that you make in life are there for a reason, to direct us really on our path and keep us going. So,
and you know, those moments when you don't feel like you're doing your best, when you get out of that situation and you look back, those are the moments sometimes that you, those are the moments where you look back and you see a lot of learning happened and a lot of personal growth and development happened in those moments. I remember when I was working for the Bay, I think it's fair to say that. The Bay is a department store that's been around for a long time, and I was hired on quite young. What was I, like 30? 29 or 30 or something like that?
I can't, it was like, Stephen was like,
I was young.
maybe 4 and Jason was 2.
So I was probably like 30 years old or so, something like that. Anyway, I was very young and I got hired on as a store manager. And the regional manager, the first thing they said when I got the job is, I want you to clean house and fire all the managers in the store because the store isn't performing. And even at that young age of, let's say 29 or whatever I was then, I had to push back and say, you know, and it was at risk. Within 30 days here, or was it 3 months? You can just be let go without cause because they see that you're not working out.
3-month probation period.
Yeah. And he said to me, you got to fire everybody who's not performing. And I said to him, like, how can I do that without knowing these people or knowing what they're capable of? And I'm glad that I did push back. I'm glad that I did, because I look back at it now and I think of all those moments where they were very upset with me and they were very, you know, annoyed that I wasn't just letting people go. Or doing performance dialogues, when instead, on the other hand, I was setting the table and I was letting them know what the expectations were, and I was trying really hard. We ended up performing great, and that store with the same people running that shift did fantastic. Anyway, to somebody's point, I saw a message in there saying that the moments where you have the toughest times are the ones where you feel like you're growing, and that's absolutely true, you know. Anyway. So embrace your flightiness, I guess, is what I'm saying. You look so short in this because you're...
I know, because I'm in a chair and slightly behind you.
Yeah.
And sitting beside me, just in case you're all wondering.
Chewy didn't want to be picked up. I think you made him
Give
burp.
a little yelp.
He like dog burped or something.
Like, why am I lifted up?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chewy.
So the last little bit, I am waiting right now. I guess I'll give you guys an update on what's going on in our world. I am working right now on the old Ferrari, getting that going. I'm waiting on parts. So there hasn't been an update video yet because I'm just waiting on some parts to come through. I've had a chance to meet some really great local collectors, and I've been doing some interviews with them. And it's fascinating to meet other people who collect things. We had Amanda who collects oops, I bumped the tripod. We met with Amanda, whose video came out yesterday. And she collects slides and photographs. And what I thought was really fascinating, and I don't know if you've watched that video yet. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch it. You know, Amanda, I always get like slides, and I get old 8mm videos and things from people's vacations. And there's so many times where I've sold that off at auction and it gets bid up pretty good and somebody buys it. And talking to the person, the end user, and talking to somebody like Amanda, and I see you guys are saying that if you saw the video, she was super fascinating. She was. What was interesting about Amanda is that she looks at old forgotten family photos that might have been thrown out or might have been sold at a thrift store or what have you, and she looks for the art in those pictures. She looks for the composition, she looks for the smile, she looks for the subject, or even when a photograph didn't turn out well. I think those are some of her favorites, when it's overexposed and, you know, there's ghosted images and stuff, and they're really interesting. So I never thought about looking for stuff like that, you know? And I love the fact that I get to chat with these people who are so passionate about just experiencing life through these objects. And that's really, for all of you that collect things at home, you know, you're experiencing life through your collection in a certain way. And I look back at Howard. If you saw the video I did with Howard, And I apologize for the audio there. I didn't have a mic with me to mic Howard. He's a very soft-spoken man, and so I tried to turn the gain up a bit, and it got a little staticky for some of the interview. Anyway, forgive that, and I guess just we had a great chance to chat with Howard, and we asked him a lot of questions that, how did you get your first car and why? Like, why get inspired? And for those of you that didn't watch the video, Howard is a senior gentleman, of course, who has collected one of every model that Rolls-Royce has made up until the point where they were bought out and made by somebody else. And he just is just a lovely, genuine, nice man who, as he had the money, was able to acquire these cars. And very few of them he spent a lot of money for. He spent some on some, but it's a testament that if you save a little bit of your money and you buy something that you love over a period of time, and for him it was 60 years nearly, he was able to put together this amazing collection. And even more amazing that he's just such a wealth of knowledge and information, and very down to earth. Oh, he's got his cat named Kitty. That's just the plumpest, friendliest little cat running around. It's not so little. It is a well-fed farm cat. You can just see that he's got this love for his farm and his friends that come in, and he gives them space at his private little airport that he's built there. He's just one of life's very interesting people. And I'm so glad that I got to share that video with you guys and share that experience, because there's so many folks out there that are like that are just fascinating, that you don't get a chance to meet and chat with. And what I love about this little series that I'm doing as I meet people who are collecting is that I get a chance to meet with folks who have similar interests. I collect old cars, and I've got a toy collection and stuff. I collect too. I like cool stuff. And you meet people who are kindred spirits, and they're living their life, their best life, and what they love to do. And it's just absolutely fantastic.
Tracy said, Alex, if you post it, I will watch.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate you watching the videos.
Somebody said that they've watched every single video. That is better than me even.
Yes.
I haven't watched some of them. I didn't get in,
but it is, I am so able to be in this position to go and drive to people's houses and meet them and try and tell their story. Just chatting with folks and making them laugh a little bit, and out those questions. I think I've discovered a new hobby of mine, and that's interviewing people. I like interviewing people. I really do.
people are interesting.
I love interviewing people. I think it's great. And so if you're watching this and you're in the Edmonton or maybe the Colorado area, because I go back there to visit my sister every so often, if you have a really cool collection, you want me to come visit you and tell your story and meet with you and show off your cool stuff, I'd love to do it. I love sharing these stories and these adventures, and I think it's nice, when I think about the video of Amanda, or when I think about the video with Howard, I think that I get to tell their story, and maybe it would be told. Howard's been interviewed before, but they didn't ask those questions about why did you start, and where did this passion come from, and all that. And I asked him. I said, and I knew the answer wasn't going to be, something silly, but I asked Howard. I said, somebody at home might be watching and wonder, well, Howard, you're 80 some odd years old. Why not just sell everything and go live on a beach with an umbrella in your drink? And he answered exactly as I expected. He said, well, I get bored after a day or two. I want something to work on and something to tinker on. And I know that feeling exactly, because I'm the exact same way. Spending a few days on a beach is great, but it's not that fun. After a while, I love to have something to tinker on, and I guess I grew up with model kits, and I see somebody like Howard who's the same way, that whether he's fixing up an old car or fixing up an old toy or display and getting ready for his museum there, everything just ties together so nicely. And he's just a man of vision who made something happen, and all the power to him. And it's just an absolutely lovely person that and I'm proud that I get to call him a friend.
Yeah, Howard's actually a super nice guy.
He's a great guy.
I didn't even know him very well, and I remember the first time that I got a chance to talk with him. He's one of those people that makes you feel heard, and he always has something very interesting to say. And if you don't have anything interesting to say, he still makes it comfortable. He's such an amazing human being.
Oh, I made a playlist of the interviews that I've done with collectors and stuff, but I forgot to add Mary's interview to that.
Oh yeah.
I should add it. I should add Mary's, and then I should add the uh the interview I had of Betty Joan that
Oh
was
yeah.
taken when she was a kid. I should put those in there too. I'll have to add a couple to that playlist. But anyway, it's there. So if you want to watch it, the playlist is on the channel. I think I called it "What's on Your Shelf," the interview series or interviewing collectors series. Anyway, if you have a chance to see it, there you go. And I've got a couple other interviews that I'm doing this week too, and really enjoying it. So appreciate you guys watching it. I did see a while ago somebody said, and I'm changing gears here. Somebody said, Alex, you need to do a storage unit clear out or house clear out in the near future, and I will. I have.
Those are a crazy amount of work. It's funny because like they're a lot of fun. Parts of it are a lot of fun, but they are an extraordinary amount of work.
They're a bit of work, yeah. But
well, and it also because we try to get everything done in such a short period of time, and by we I mean you, and I help as much as I can, but
yeah.
really,
or
yeah.
Patrick, or whoever
yeah,
has
and
a
our
chance
crew,
to.
of course.
We do have a lead on a house where someone has passed on and they've left all their contents in the house, and they are potentially wanting us to do a clear out of it. So I do, I'm waiting, hopefully in the next week or two I'll find out, and then we might have another big house clear out series coming soon. In the meantime, I've been looking at the storage units that have been coming up for sale. There are websites you can actually go to online and look for storage units in your area. They end and you can bid on them. It's kind of like digital storage wars, I guess. When you watch a Storage Wars show and they do those live auctions, they really don't do a lot of that here. It's mainly that somebody will default on their unit. It'll go up for sale. They're allowed to take a picture or a couple pictures from the door, and you have to really make an educated guess from the pictures online as to what you get. Yeah. And so I really look for units that look like they might be interesting or have a story. So far, I've done well, I think. The only one that was a bit of a bust was when I bought the bicycles for the kids. But then again, we ended up getting our money back out of all that stuff, and the kids got bikes.
I mean, they all came with a story. It's just
one came with a sack of drugs.
That's so like crazy. I didn't even think about that being in there. I don't know why. I must live like such a sheltered life. But I never would have even thought of finding something like that in there. First off, because who just leaves it in the locker?
Well, and some people were saying, well, why didn't you call the police to come and get the drugs from the unit? My fear was that they would actually just seize everything in the unit and my money would all be gone, which is a stupid fear maybe. But I thought if I called the police and said, hey, I bought a storage unit and it's got drugs in it, they would say, okay, we'll be right there. And then they would put their lock on it and that'd be it. And then I'd be paying for, who knows, rent on this unit or whatever it was. So I thought, okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to load up the truck, get the stuff out of there, and we're going to take this stuff to the police station. It wasn't until I was driving with the hefty garbage bag full of drugs, that I thought, if I get pulled over, this is going to seem a little suspicious. But I don't have any kind of record, so I hope that I'd be able to jazz hands my way out of it. Jazz hands.
I'm on the way to the police station now.
They're not my drugs. Trust me, I'm on my way to. I was just about to turn them in, officer. Anyway. So probably the next time I do it, I would call them, but I'd call them at the end of getting the unit cleared out. But I hope I don't come across something like that again. But really, you don't know why somebody has lost a storage unit or what's going on. And honestly, it does still, I don't really like doing storage units that much because it's typically some sad reason why somebody lost it. Yeah. I mean, but then I was thinking about that afterwards, because I said that before that, I don't like doing storage units because somebody's lost it and that means that there's been a sad story attached. But really, every time we do a house clear out, it's the same exact thing. Somebody's passed away.
But they call us to say, please, we need some help. Are you able to help us out with this?
Right, but in the same sense, the storage unit needs their thing emptied.
I know, but that's not the person. That's helping the storage unit, but not helping the person that defaulted on their.
That's true, and we don't know what their stories are. And some people said, well, you should reach back out to the people that owned it. Well, in that case, that could be dangerous. You reach out to somebody and find out that they were a drug dealer or something. So we always do turn in the personal artifacts, like the pictures and family photos. And if they had personal awards or things, we turn those back over to the storage unit to give back to the people. But yeah, it is. it's kind of bittersweet. You know, you hope you find something good. But on the other hand, every time we do a storage unit clear out, we donate so much to charity as well.
Yeah.
That Salvation Army in particular, or there are centers that deal with helping homeless people we're able to donate clothes to. So there's a lot of good that can come out of emptying a storage unit in terms of giving that stuff back to society and community. And then us being able to get a few things that we can sell and get our money back. But yeah, somebody said, you see the thing in New Zealand? Yeah, I did. You hope that you don't have something too creepy happen. Does Alex still have the Chevy pickup?
Just really quick, this one says, if I get pulled over for a traffic violation, I'm going to try out jazz hands and check out, hold on, no.
Try.
Oh, darn it, it disappeared.
Somebody said if they get pulled over for having drugs in their car, they're going to try jazz hands.
No, a traffic violation.
Oh, traffic violation.
And check to see if this really works.
Let us know. Report back. Yeah, so
Maybe just don't break the law. Don't.
yeah, don't do that. Somebody said that they don't trust storage unit people. And I guess are you saying you don't trust the people that had their stuff in storage, or you don't trust the facilities that they haven't rifled through everything and took what they wanted? Because I was thinking, if you ran a storage unit and you're doing an auction and you put it up for sale, the person who lost it could buy it back, and they're going to know if a bunch of their stuff is missing. So you'd think a storage unit facility wouldn't take stuff out of there.
They said the facilities.
But that's also why I like to buy very dusty, neglected, and packed looking storage units.
Yeah.
Because that shows that nobody's really been in there rifling around. And also a storage unit person probably doesn't have a whole lot of time to search. And so if it's like packed to the door, they probably looked at the first few things at the door, you know, before they realized that maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and close the door. So I think there's a certain, I don't want to say psychology to when I buy these things, but I'm looking for certain things in a unit. And I haven't really come across one that struck my fancy yet. But there was one over the holidays when I was sick, and I was down with COVID just after New Year's. And I was lying there sick, and there was one, and it had like a boat. I could see like the boat motor attached to the back of a speedboat. And I was like, oh man, this would be so cool. But you have to clear them out pretty much the same day. So yeah. Oh, here, yeah. So somebody said, good tip, thank you. Here's the tips when you're looking at a storage unit. One, look for dust. That means somebody's been paying on it for a long time and hasn't been in there. So why would you pay on a unit for like enough time to acquire dust? There must be something kind of decent in there, you would think, for dust to build up. One, look for how tidy is the unit. How nicely are the boxes stacked and packed and put away? If they are laundry baskets full of junk and they're thrown in there and it's piled, well, maybe that person didn't take care of their belongings that well. Mm-hmm. The other thing you look for is there a tarp or a blanket kind of covering something in the back of the unit? If so, maybe it's something good that they didn't want people in the storage unit to see that they had, and so they covered it up so it would be safe.
It's always a gamble, though. It could be treasure.
Always
it could
a gamble.
be a stained mattress.
It's always a stained mattress. Even if it's a good unit, there's always a stained mattress in there. There's no getting around that. The amount of trips we took, I think the last unit I did, I don't know, 6 or 7 truckloads to the eco station, dropping stuff off. That was just garbage, just beat up garbage. But there was an equal amount of good stuff that came out that we were able to sell. Hello from Florida, somebody says. Hello back at you.
They were the ones that asked, do you still have the Chevy pickup? They said, so close to having my question answered.
I don't have the Chevy pickup. So here's the news, and I guess we'll carry on with updates here as we move through this episode, this live stream. One, I sold the Mustang, I sold the Chevy truck, I sold the Nash Metropolitan, and I sold the Daimler. Those 4 vehicles I want to say. Oh, and the MGA, the 5 vehicles. Those vehicles were all sold off over a period of time to offset the cost of buying what I call the forlorn Ferrari. I bought it as a non-runner for a little bit less than what you'd pay for one in good shape. And I'm going through it, making it a proper car again. I figured, I've always been of the mind that you may as well take a whole bunch of things you have that are mediocre and try and get one really special thing. And that was the special thing I wanted to have and put some money into. It's not that I necessarily wanted to have a Ferrari. It sounds snooty even just saying it out loud. I bought one that I thought was tasteful. I would want a
Ferrari.
You wouldn't want?
I would.
You would, yeah, okay.
If somebody said you could have all these cars that you kind of like, or you could trade them in for a Ferrari, I'd be like, yeah, you know what?
But a Ferrari that didn't run though.
Yeah, but I have you. There's no chance that it wouldn't run. It's gonna run.
Randy Tompkins, and nice to see you, Randy. By the way, I see a lot of our familiar faces on there, and I apologize if I'm not calling your names out. I see a lot of our
We
friends
see
on there.
you.
So thank you so much. Randy's a regular contributor to our channel. Randy asks, is the Ferrari a keeper? So here's the thing. I look at the Ferrari as being a pretty solid investment. When I look at it, I see that it is a car that, if I were to restore that MGA properly, let's say, the one that I had, it's only worth so much money. The cost of redoing a bumper on the Ferrari is the same as the cost of redoing a bumper on an MG. On the MG, it's not going to increase its value. On the Ferrari, it will by quite a bit. So when I look at investments, getting a car that needs a little bit of loving, like a Ferrari like that will improve the value over time much more, and it doesn't cost any more than restoring any normal car. Whether I keep it or not, I bought it as sort of a longer term investment, so it will be a keeper for a while, but ultimately the point's going to come when I'm an older person, or even, I don't know, slightly older version of myself. If our family needed money for something, or if we needed to take care of something, I have no issues getting rid of anything that I own, and I never have.
Because it's just a thing.
Because it's just a thing, and things are replaceable. You know, I get to experience it. Like when we were building this house, you guys remember I had the Woody wagon and I had the Rolls Royce. I sold everything off to put the money into the house because I didn't want to have a mortgage on this house. Anyway, so it's a keeper for now. It's one that I'd like to hang on to for a bit because I think it'll appreciate. I think it's a good, solid investment to have. But really, if it ever came down to it, family first, wife and kids first. And if we need money for something around here that's more important than a car, I'm not going to lose sleep over selling a car when I know that I can get something
But it's
else
for
out of
it.
it.
The car is an investment. It's not. So that's what it's meant for.
Yeah, it is. It's basically just like yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun working on it, by the way. I'm really enjoying it. That's a lot of, you know, just tinkering and cleaning, and, you know, the car is really solid and it's rust free. And I know
It's a
that
nice car.
some of you aren't car people, and I won't go on about cars too much, but I really, really enjoy tinkering on that thing and making it better, you know, from replacing worn out carpeting to detailing the engine bay or whatever I'm doing. It's like if you were a kid and you had a model kit that you worked on and you just had that sense of achievement every time you glued something and painted something. It's the exact same way I feel about working on any of these cars. It's just a lot of fun. And at the end, I'm still a big kid. You know, it's no different to me than working on, you know, an old die-cast toy that needs restoration or something.
We're all still just big kids, just big
Pretty
kids
much.
with bills.
And now we have an adult child. Somebody keeps asking, how old is your oldest license plate? I appreciate you asking the question. I'm not a license plate collector, so I don't have really a collection of license plates. Oh, and Randy, thank you. He says, great answer. Thank you. I don't collect plates, but I have owned license plates as old as, I think, 1909, but that'd be the oldest that I used to have. Did the son of the previous owner ever respond to your letter asking for info under the seal about the sealed hatch in the yard? No, I have not heard back yet. And somebody has asked multiple times now what hair product I use. I'm a Dapper Dan man. Do you ever see Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And George Clooney's character is looking for Dapper Dan, and he's like, I'm a Dapper Dan man. And he's just constantly searching for Dapper Dan through the whole movie. I also am a Dapper Dan man. And so I use Dapper Dan products because I think it's still made in England.
So funny that he would hear you say it over and over.
Yeah.
Dapper Dan, Dapper Dan.
I'm Joshua, our friend Josh is on. I'm not a thought man, I'm a Dapper Dan man. And it's true, I am. I have Dapper Dan products. I used to sell them at the store. I used to sell Dapper Dan at the store, and when we shut the store down, I kept back the products. So now I have a lifetime supply of Dapper Dan.
Do you wake up going, my hair? You know what's funny though is that sometimes if we're watching a movie, Alexander will be leaning on me, and I pet him like a cat.
My hair. She'll give me like a mohawk.
But I don't realize that I'm doing it, and then after like an hour-long movie or longer, the hair. If I can ever get a picture of it, you guys. I don't even know if he could make his hair do that.
It would
but
take
I
some
imagine
effort.
it saying it then. Yeah.
I'd have to have you back combing
Oh,
my
my
hair for
goodness.
an hour and a half.
It's good. It's really good. I'm proud of myself when it happens.
Oh, Dapper Dan is like a 1920s hair product. It's but they have a few different varieties of it now and different types, and it's actually good stuff. stuff.
Matte, shiny. Yeah.
You know, you were saying earlier, Melissa, that I'll probably never get that entrepreneurial bug out of me.
No.
There's still a part of me that thinks that I'd like to open a really insanely cool gift shop. Like
Oh.
our store was transforming
Towards a gift shop.
from an antique store into a gift store, and that's was like, oh, I'm not really an antique store anymore. And
But a gift shop though is harder because anyone can get
know,
the products.
and
And with our antiques, it was you had different things than we had some things the same, but we had different things that no one else had. Where I mean, a gift shop, anybody can call those suppliers and get the same things.
that's true, but not everybody carries the same
But you
stuff.
want to sit at a gift shop?
No, I don't. I don't want to sit at a store. I'd be like the kid in class who's looking out the window watching other kids playing or something. I want to be out there experiencing life and having fun.
And then a gift shop has like much smaller items, so to how much more you have to sell in order to
True.
pay the
Oh, you're so practical.
property and
She's a realist. But
and then your time, and then if you don't value your time, then what's the point of being there?
I know. I wouldn't want to sit there myself and do it, but I'm just saying that I do. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, actually, I went for, I wouldn't say lunch, but I went for a tea with Sean Newton, who used to work at my store. I went for tea with Sean today. And he said, do you ever miss the store? And I said, I miss the people, like I miss the socializing, and I miss the visual merchandising
I
aspect
knew it was
of
going
it.
to be the visual merch.
Because it's
part.
not really about, it's not about the money so much. Like for me,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun to make an interesting store, to have an experience, an immersive experience for people to come through and be able to buy things. So I said, I do miss those things, but I don't miss, the overhead. I don't miss shrink. And in the
Yeah.
world of retail, shrink means theft. That means the stuff that's going missing. I don't miss those stresses and the stresses of people breaking into the shop and stuff. There's a lot that I don't miss about it. But what I get to do that I love when it comes to retail right now is I still love the exploration. Going through people's houses and buying stuff out of a basement and trying to find those hidden treasures, those overlooked treasures. I was in a house the other day and I found a featherweight Singer sewing machine.
Oh, did you already show them that?
No, I didn't do a video about it.
Oh,
I
there's
went there.
another. I have one, and I can see it right now.
Our friend Diecast Dave, or Nitrous Diecast, is on right now, who was a regular at our store. And I miss seeing Bob and Dave and all those guys come through, and Bill, and then Bill became an employee. I miss having everybody come through.
Yeah.
But Dave, I went to a house the other day and I was literally digging through their toy box and I found a handful of Redline Hot Wheels. And if anybody knows me from this show, the 1960s Hot Wheels with the little red stripe, I collect. And so to find them in their natural form, which is like in a toy box, I was like, what? This is great. So I got Redline Hot Wheels. I got a Russian nesting doll, but with Elvis Presley for some reason on it. And I was like, well, that's
Oh, yeah.
weird. I have to buy that. And I got a featherweight Singer sewing machine, which is about the only sewing machine I'll ever buy because they always do really, really well. Hi, Alex. What time is it there? It is 10 to 8 right now.
Somebody earlier asked if I polished
Fine.
the Pyrex collection that I had, like the bowls. And I was lucky enough that my set didn't need to be polished. I just cleaned it like normal. So, but I'm sure you can look it up online how to take care of it properly.
Oh, boys. Sorry. Cheryl said she had a bag of Redline Hot Wheels and they sold them at work for $4. I will say this now.
Oh boy.
If you have, here are things that Alex is always looking for. I'm still buying stuff. So if you have old Hot Wheel cars, if you have fancy wristwatches like Omega, Rolex, Tudor, Breitling, any kind of fancy old watch that's not a battery operated watch but an automatic watch, I am buying all that kind of stuff still. So you can email me at curiosityedmonton@gmail.com.
I was waiting for you to say it to make sure I put the right one in there.
This should be the year that I do go see Kathy Cash though. I should go to Nashville. I should go down there and I should go visit with her.
All these things that I mean, it's good. We're in January at least.
We are in January. I have a lot of aspirations.
It's only a couple of days. Like if you went down and then came back like, for a weekend or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it could happen. See, anything can happen. We are planning a family holiday at some point, which we'll share with you guys as well. And let's see.
I'm guessing everyone would know where we would go.
Somebody says, yes, come to Nashville. I'd love to. I don't know. I haven't seen Kathy on in a little while. I don't think she's here with us right now, but I would really love to go meet with Kathy and just kind of be able to sit down and have a conversation and chat with her. And her dad, Johnny Cash, was, such an important figure on pop culture and music and history, that just to be able to, that there's even that inkling of a chance that I could be able to meet with, one of his daughters is just, it's remarkable. And I've been playing and I've been practicing on my Johnny Cash special edition guitar that I have, my Martin D35 guitar. And I will say that guitar sounds fantastic. I'm probably overdue for doing a song, but I haven't been able to figure out which one to do.
I know which one you're going to do already.
What do you think I'm going to do?
I'm not sure the name of it, but if you were to, when you start singing it, I'll yell, that one.
Oh, okay. There's a few that I've been working on, but I don't know. I guess a part of me thinks I should just be writing my own song in music again too, but.
What happened to Zoltar?
Zoltar?
I wonder how long we're going to get asked about Zoltar.
I get asked about Zoltar a lot. There were so many people that.
They really like Zoltar.
They wanted me to bring Zoltar home, but I can't think of why I would need to have a Zoltar in my house.
No.
Mind you, we sold it to somebody who put it in their house, so I guess there you go. But
that is like not what I want in my basement.
Yeah.
That's trying to vacuum under that thing. At least with a pinball machine, I can vacuum under it. It's funny that I think of how easy it is going to be to clean.
Yeah, we do have a pinball machine. Instead of Zoltar, I brought home a couple pinball machines and we put a pool table in the basement and we I don't know, just trying to set it up so it's fun for everybody. Yeah.
But it's still open enough that you can breathe down there.
Wanda says, Alex and Melissa, what genre of music do you prefer? You go first, I'll go second.
I don't know what mine is. Mine is I listen to radio.
Like top 40?
Well, I don't know if it's top 40 because I like, there's a radio station here in Edmonton called Now something.
They play like hits, it's pop, and it's hits from the past as well as hits from now.
But the nice thing is that they have a big amount of conversation as well, where people call in and, oh man, it gets me laughing so hard first thing in the morning on my way to work. So I really appreciate that a lot. And the music. I mean, people can call in as well and request songs. There's some times where that's most definitely a miss, but.
For me, my musical tastes have changed a lot over the years, and sometimes I go through phases where I feel like I need to listen to music that I used to listen to. When I was in junior high and high school, I listened to Hendrix, Fleetwood Mac, like that Rumors album was one I listened to a lot. ELO, greatest hits like ELO. I listened to, let's see, I had The Who, and then as I got older, after high school, I listened to a lot of like Daft Punk and Chemical Brothers and sort of EDM or electronic dance music, and Faithless, Portishead, all that kind of stuff. That's what I was listening to back in the 90s, early 2000s, was that kind of stuff. A lot of Portishead, a lot of Moby, like sort of, soulful sort of electronic music. And then now that I'm older, I find myself listening to Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen, listening to Sufjan Stevens, Fleet Foxes, and a lot of more folky sort of, I don't know, singer-songwriter music, or it's got really great lyrics to it. Like Leonard Cohen is one, and I'll probably get chastised for this, where I love his writing, and I love his composition, but his renditions of his own songs aren't always my favorite. I pretty much generally prefer when somebody does a cover of a Leonard Cohen. Anyway, and Fleet Foxes, if you haven't listened to them, they're fantastic.
Matthew said he's a Fleet Fox.
Yeah, I saw that he said that. So there's certain groups that I listen to and I just really get into, and I just got to listen to them all the time. And so lately it's been sort of more mellow and guitar and, soft strumming and finger picking and all that good stuff. So I don't know, my taste changed. And then you have a moment or a day where you feel like you got to listen to Some old Portishead song or something. And
Alexander used to listen to Depeche Mode.
yes, Depeche Mode, the Smiths, Morrissey, all that
I think
stuff.
those all kind of go together. The Depeche Mode, Morrissey, and the
Would you
Smiths.
say they're hand in glove? That's a Morrissey reference.
Somebody asked, what song did we listen to the most when we were dating? Alexander and I have different music tastes, so we did not listen to really.
I used to make mixtapes for you though.
Yeah, but
we didn't listen to the same stuff.
no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Massive Attack, of course. Massive Attack is great. But yeah, I was actually learning Teardrop on guitar by Massive Attack, which was also done by Jose Gonzalez. If you want to listen to kind of a neat rendition of a early EDM song, Jose Gonzalez covering Massive Attack's Teardrop is a very nice version of it anyway.
What was the song called that you put on the mixtape that said, "Some people call me Maurice"?
Oh, that was Steve Miller Band. Yeah.
I'm a joker. Anyways,
I'm a midnight toker.
Yeah, so that song, it was funny because we called it the juggling song when I was trying to learn how to juggle with my sister and brothers. We would put that on in the beat. So that's what that reminds me of, the mixtape. That song was on there.
Yeah. So yeah, that song is called The Joker, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, Steve Miller Band. I don't know. Listen to certain Chicago songs too, which sounds really cheesy when you say it, but there's like If You Leave Me Now is just a very pretty song. Some of those old, I like the 70s singer-songwriter ballads as well. And of course, Johnny Cash. That's the one thing I discovered the last few years, and I never really grew up listening to country music because my mom wasn't a country music fan, because her aunt and mom and dad were huge country fans, and my mom had to be different, so she didn't listen to country.
I can picture your mom's face when she watches this.
But so when I was growing up, my parents were listening to Billy Joel and Peter Gabriel and pretty much all those 80s kind of synthy, sort of mildly poppy sort of bands. And so now when I hear Peter Gabriel playing now, it just takes me right back to being a kid. My dad was a huge fan of the band. Somebody says the band. My dad was a huge fan of the band. And yeah, oh God, there's so much good music out there. And it's, I don't know. I've immersed myself into all sorts of strange things. From Bowie to Cash to everything in between. Anyway. So guys, it's been an hour and we've chatted about a lot of different things, and I appreciate the fact that there's 1,700 people on this chat right now. And I don't know, maybe the next video, I do have a video I have to edit and put together where I visited a fellow's collection, and he was a lot of fun and we had a great time, and I'll share that with you. And we'll get that one out there. Hopefully I'll end up getting this collection soon. I'll do an update video on how the Ferrari restoration is going. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then we're gonna start construction hopefully soon in our backyard.
Yeah.
That'll come spring. So anyway, lots to go. Soon to be Farmer Melissa and Farmer Alex.
We have did I say on the last? We have a little trail cam in the back to see what little animals we have.
Oh yeah, you didn't mention this.
No, so we were watching, and there's like the occasional deer, so cute, and like stuff that you can't really tell what it is because it's at night. And then there was a very clear picture of a gray wolf. And it's funny because I had to go put that little memory card back in the camera, knowing now that I have this giant wolf back there. But I ended up doing some research. Apparently they don't like eating people, so there's that.
Yeah.
Apparently not so bad, and we're not that far from roads, so they're not going to hang out back there. I was not expecting to see that. I thought maybe the neighbor's dog and skinny little coyote.
It was a pretty big looking wolf too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's winter. It has to be big because it has its winter coat. So
yeah, we live there's moose, there's bear, there's wolves, there's coyotes. You say coyotes or coyotes? Anyway.
Coyotes.
Yeah, but some people say coyotes. What's that kid show that we don't like that nobody likes? Caillou. They say it like Caillou. All I had to say is, what's that kid show that nobody likes? Caillou. You ever watched Caillou? It was the worst.
You know what it is? It's that it was just promoting so much whining rather than them
I
using
don't
their,
want to go.
just letting them, helping them to use their words, and especially as a preschool teacher, oh man, just,
I think Caillou has been officially canceled though.
I mean, how long has it been? I mean, even just by age-wise, it probably fizzled out on its own.
Gosh, okay, we're gonna only talk for a couple minutes about kids shows. We used to like putting on, it was called Little Bear with our kids.
Yeah.
It was so calming and they were so
And
polite.
the kids loved it so much.
Yeah, they used to watch that. What else did our kids
And
watch?
they would be like calm after.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a show called Poco.
Poco. But when you were a kid, and this is for the Canadians in the crowd, we had a little show called The Raccoons.
Yep.
That came on, and so after, this is what you get on after school, there'd be a show, a cartoon.
One
it was
of
an
those
animated cartoon.
raccoons' name was Melissa.
Well, yeah, she was like the pretty one that they wanted.
That's right, she was.
She was
I think
the pretty
it was
one.
like the only girl.
So yeah, we had the raccoons, and then if you stayed up late enough, you'd have the Muppets come on.
Yep.
Yeah, what were
Well,
the
you
other
had
animation?
like 3 channels and a French channel.
I had 3 channels, yeah, and the French channel, and the other ones
Or
were just
I did, I
staticky.
mean.
So, but during the day, you'd have dress up and stuff like that, which is our version of Mr. Rogers, I want to say, like a kid show like that. So, but if you stayed up, okay, when you got home from school, they had the back to school specials, right? Which would be like some random movie that taught you about like not buying drugs off some kid named Snake in your school hallway. I don't know, Snake, this
remember
seems
that.
like a bad idea. It was like shot in the 80s. Yeah, anyway. Corey Hart was in it, maybe. So they'd have like these kind of, you know, morality movies that they'd show, Degrassi and that. But if you stayed up late enough, like usually after you ate supper and after you had a bath and you had like your hair was still a little bit wet and maybe your parents made you a hot chocolate. This is my memory. You'd have a bath, and my mom was the sweetest. She'd make me like a hot chocolate, and you'd be waiting for the Muppet Show to come on. And usually the Muppets was like the last thing to be on before it was bedtime, because it was probably like 8 or 9 o'clock or something when you're a little kid. And so we'd watch the Raccoons, and then the Muppets would come on, and you'd be like, "Whoa, the Muppets!" And it wasn't until the early '90s that got replaced by The Simpsons. And
Yeah.
instead of having those shows come on, then you had The Simpsons. Very early. If you remember the early Simpsons episode, they actually had morals at the end of the episode. It was like, well, the moral of this episode was blah, blah, blah. Or they try and like have a funny way of getting around to morality, which went away. But yeah, you'd watch The Simpsons and then that would be it. I'm dating myself now. I mean, not in the sense that I do. I guess I go on dates. I take myself out for lunch. When you're at school and the kids are at school, I go out for a fancy A&W hamburger on occasion.
I had like oh no, I came home for lunch. I was gonna say I had a granola bar for lunch, but no, that's not true. I came home.
Oh, the memories. I don't want
Romp
to
room.
get... I remember when I used to be nostalgic.
Hey, homie.
I think that's a Stephen Wright joke. Melissa's not a Stephen Wright fan.
Oh.
She thinks his humor is really
I'm
dry.
sure he's a lovely human being. I just don't like his humor. I
I think
Jim
he's funny.
Gaffigan's humor because it's not like rude. I mean, it can be rude, but not to the point where you feel like a bad human for watching it.
No, we went and saw Jim Gaffigan live a couple weeks ago.
With Steven.
He was a funny guy. Are you allowed to retell his jokes after a show, or do you just say go see him? He's funny.
Well, I would butcher the joke anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, we went and saw Jim Gaffigan, and he was funny. And yes, we took Steven to it. Steven's an adult now, and we thought, well, that'd be good. You don't have
We
to worry
saw
about
one of
taking
you
your
there,
kids.
or Alexander and Steven ended up running into a subscriber there.
We ran into a family of subscribers, which was nice. Oh, somebody said, what was the lady that had lamb chops?
Oh, I can't remember I know the song.
Susie, no. We have a doll of her downstairs in the basement. I still have all these really expensive, fancy dolls that we have to get rid of at some point, too. Sherry Lewis. Thank you. Sherry, S-H-A-R-I, I think is her name. Sherry Lewis. I am the worst
You guys
with
are
names.
good. Oh my goodness. Everybody knew.
I don't know about you guys. Like on occasion, I really struggle to remember the name of something. I'll be midway through a conversation. This is tough being a vlogger. You know, you're trying to remember something and then you're like, the person who did the thing, the thing.
It's lucky for us because I can say to Alexander, like, what was the song that said the Joker? And he'll be like, oh, that was... So I'll say to him all the time, remember when we went out and we saw that thing? He'll be like, yeah, I remember. Thank goodness, because anybody else would be like, yeah, no, that is not enough information
Yeah, and yesterday I started driving towards our old house. And I was like,
Really?
whoa! Yeah, because I was trying to go to the post office that we
Oh
used to go
yeah.
to by our old house, and I ended up like taking the turn towards our house. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like going to the horse headed to the barn. Now, that's what my mom used to say. And my dad would do that. She'd be like, you're headed to the back to the barn, aren't you?
We had a, I mean, we still use the grocery store by our old house. And I love the people there. They kind of feel like family to me, so I still go there.
Yeah, they know. Melissa is chatty, but I'm chatty too. So we actually chat and talk and get to know our folks that work at the local grocery store and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think we both just really enjoy people.
Yeah, I do really enjoy people. I love hearing what makes them tick. I love hearing what they love. Yeah, I'm that person that really genuinely, when I ask how somebody's doing, I really want to know.
I wouldn't say that it was a resolution this year of mine, but I had really good friends that I haven't talked to in probably a decade. And I thought, this should be the year that I reconnect. And so I wrote on Facebook some friends that I haven't chatted with in a long time. And, we're really great friends for a long time. Then your life goes in different ways and you have kids that are different ages and you move to different cities. And hopefully I'll have a chance to just kind of reconnect with some old friends and I don't know, just experience being a human being for a bit.
It's funny when you haven't seen your friends in a while or people, and you sit down together and you need to kind of sum up what's happened in the last, say, 20 years. But you can do it in less than 5 minutes. You could probably do it in a couple of sentences and you're like, well, we're caught up. And then you can just continue.
Two things. One person says their dad was an animator on the Rocky and Bullwinkle show.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
If you have any original animation cells left over from your dad or drawings, they'd probably be pretty collectible. And another person said, do you think your sons will follow in your footsteps? I don't know that my son or daughter will follow in my footsteps unless it's just snowed and they're literally following my footsteps so their feet don't get cold.
True.
Here's the thing. Some people were upset when we closed the store. This kind of goes full cycle back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this vlog, is that we sold the store because we weren't using it, et cetera, et cetera. Some people said, well, you should have kept the store going because what if your kids wanted to follow in your footsteps and they wanted to, run the antique shop? I want my kids to do what they want to do. I don't want them to do what I want to do. If they seem like they were really interested and they really wanted to do it, then sure. But I've had them along with me on adventures and picks and things, and not one of them has really said like, hey, I'd like to do this for a living.
Plus, we'd like them to be able to do things for themselves.
We really just encourage the kids to find things that they love to do.
Yeah.
And the advice that we're giving them, now that Stephen's gonna be going to university next year, is just to do some education in something that really fills you with joy. And, there are things that will pay better for a job, but if you're not happy with it, you're probably gonna end up leaving it anyway. So do something that you love to do, and that will make you feel challenged and make you feel creative and make you feel like you want to go back for more. And so, no, I don't think any of my kids will follow in my footsteps in that sense. I hope that they'll follow in our footsteps in a lot of the values that we've instilled. And somebody said this is a Facebook comment, not a YouTube comment. They said something along the lines of, well, aren't your kids, I posted a picture of the Ferrari. I said, almost got her running or something like that. And they said, well, your kids are lucky they're going to get this inheritance when you die and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'd rather that they inherited the work ethic and the knowledge to buy the things and enjoy life the way they want to do it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, and I put a smiley face because I wasn't trying to be snippy about it. I was just saying, we really want to encourage our kids to be their own people and do their own things. And to fill their lives with the things that fill them with joy and not wait for an inheritance or not wait for those things, but to live their life. So I put a little smiley face at the end of that little thing that I said. And they're like, well, I'm going to unfollow you now because you're another one of these people who talks down to me or whatever. And I was like, well.
That's their issues, obviously, by them.
Yeah, it is their issues, yes. But it's so easy to.
As soon as they say you're another one of these people, that means that.
Another one of these people.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is it's very easy to accidentally insult somebody. Truth be told, we're people trying to live our lives. And we share snippets of how we interact with our worldview. That's the best way I can put it. I interact with a world in the way, my own Alex way. And I go out and I meet people who are interesting, and sometimes I can film it, and sometimes I can't, and sometimes I find boxes full of treasure, and sometimes I don't. Anyway, so I share just the stuff I'm up to.
I think on YouTube, though, we have the most supportive community by far. We can tell who our actual subscribers are and then who's not really in it. So But there are certain platforms that I think people are just waiting to be offended by anything you put, and you guys know the ones. So, so you kind of expect that.
I'm going to be like an early Simpsons episode, and I'm going to try to leave this live chat with the moral of the story. The moral is that there's always somebody out there who's going to criticize you no matter what you do. And you really just have to live your life for what's best for you. Take chances when you need to take chances, and retreat and be safe when you need to be safe. But more than anything, live your life to your fullest. I mean, you know, I'm 45 years away from being a jar of dust.
45? You're going longer than that.
Well, maybe, I don't know. But our time is limited is what I'm saying. And so if I want to experience this life in this way and have fun, I mean, for me, I know that the most important thing for me is how we experience each and every day. You know, for me, having an old car and having fun with it, or spending time with my family is paramount. Having a nice glass of wine on occasion. There are ways to enjoy your life, whatever that looks like for you. And those moments are the most important. You know, staying in a job that you hate, I could see somebody going back and really regretting that later if they didn't go off and try something different and really follow their passions. And so the advice I give to my kids is the same advice that I give to anybody at home, is that take educated risks, weigh out your options, but really just try and fill each and every day of your life with joy and love and fun and laughter. And I hope that you guys are successful, and success is different for everybody, but I hope that you guys are very successful in the things that you do. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's live feed. We always enjoy spending time with you all, and for everybody who's been joining us this entire time, stay tuned for more episodes. There'll be some coming soon, and we really appreciate all of you guys. So thanks again very much. We'll see you all soon, and as always,
bye.
Oh, you didn't say bye for now. Bye for now. Bye,
guys. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.